Fighting games are cool. Their fast-paced, action-packed gameplay, the sheer amount of mental and mechanical skill to make quick decisions in the heat of the moment, the passionate community, and the legendary moments created over the years. You know what's cooler? Kirby beating the ever-loving shit out of Snake. Crossover fighting games are a very cool concept. Bringing characters from entirely different franchises into one game to once again beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. The King of Fighters 94 was the first fighting game to use the concept of crossovers to bring together SNK games like Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, and Ikari Warriors. Street Fighter vs. X-Men followed closely behind, being released in 1996. Both Capcom and SNK were seeing these crossovers pay off. And I mean, what better way to get people to play your games than bringing beloved characters from other IPs into yours, right? It's a business strategy used even today, and it don't gotta be just games characters either. Now at first, I assumed Nintendo simply just saw what these guys were doing and decided they were getting in on it too. Sakurai was cooking up his own platform fighting game called Dragon King, the fighting game, with many of the mechanics we know and love, but not the faces we know and love. Understanding the risks of dropping an entirely new IP, especially for a niche genre like fighters, he threw a bunch of popular Nintendo characters into a prototype and pitched it to them, which they approved.
It's a good fucking thing.
And while the OG Smash Bros wasn't the first platform fighter, that goes to the Outfoxies, it absolutely pioneered the party game and crossover aspect that many other games take inspiration from. Speaking of those games, well, most of them are freaking dead. Smash clones. Not platformers that have a few crossovers, or a workshop. I'm talking platform fighters with rosters composed of 99% guest characters from super popular IPs like Warner Bros, Nickelodeon, Sony, even the top Shonen Jump series, and still dying. So, let's take a look at this graveyard of crossover platform fighters and see where they all went so damn wrong. Starting with
Get Super Smash Bros.
Son, we got Smash Bros at home.
DreamMix TV World Fighters dropped in 2003, developed by Bitstep and published by Hudson Soft, taking characters from the Hudson and Konami IPs and Takara's toy lines. Right? We got guys like Bomberman, Simon Belmont, Solid Snake, yeah damn, Kid from Beyblade, Optimus Prime, and Megatron, cause why not? Y'all ain't ready for Snake getting his ass beat by a Moai this time? What's this guy even doing here? They even got their own lore, I guess, to justify why these guys are even boxing each other. These two guys, Mujo and Haruna, invite various characters from different realities to fight in a death arena to up ratings on their show. Yep, that's it. I mean, maybe Snake or Megatron would take up the opportunity to kill people, but does Simon even know what a TV is? Anyway, the single player campaign is a 6-battle gauntlet where you fight various opponents before fighting Mujo himself as the final boss. Poor guy was forced into this. The whole campaign, he was just this demon's victim.
Man, I'm dead.
Damn! During these battles, your ratings increase and decrease based off your performance, and you even get ranked at the end. Pretty cool. The gameplay itself does try to be different from Smash, but it's hot dookie. Characters only have 2 attacks, one normal and one special. Bruh. I mean, there's some variations to special moves like Simon throwing his cross in a circle around him instead of in front, or Snake attaching C4 onto you instead of the arena. But yeah man, that's kinda boring. There's throws too. The most interesting part about gameplay is definitely the health system, as beating people up smacks coins out of them, reducing their HP while regaining yours. And when HP reaches this empty point, they get hit with the Shrink Ray, and if you touch the soul that just left their body, you knock them out of the game. It's pretty clear this game just tried to latch onto the hype of Melee while doing the bare minimum, since there definitely is not much to this game, especially with their actually pretty interesting but very small roster pool. DreamMix only ended up being released in Japan, and chances are we won't be seeing this game again, seeing how their companies are doing. Bitstep, MIA. Hudson, KIA. Konami? I mean, it's friggin' Konami. Even Takara got merged with another company, which I mean, is a better fate I guess. But hey, they did manage to get Snake before Smash did, if that means anything. On to the next super niche clone, we got Battle Stadium D.O.N, featuring characters from the big 3 animes and their daddy Dragon Ball. Bleach couldn't make it sadly. Battle Stadium D.O.N dropped in 2006, also for GameCube and PS2, developed by Aiding and Q Entertainment and published by Bandai Namco. Clearly this game also wanted to ride on the Smash hype train because it also does the bare minimum. Roster wise, it is pretty stacked. I mean, we have some of the biggest animes in history here. We got Goku, Frieza, Piccolo, Luffy, Zoro, this bum, Naruto, Kakashi, and Rock freaking Lee. Now, Battle Stadium has no lore. There isn't any reason these guys are beating each other up other than just cuz, and I mean, that's a damn good reason, not gonna lie. Gameplay wise, it's just as stiff as DreamMix. You know, I'll give it to them that at least each character doesn't only have 2 attacks total, and they also have many special and super moves they can use.
Yeah.
Some characters even get their upgraded forms like Luffy's Gear 2 or Goku Super Saiyan. The stages are also from areas in the anime's respective shows like Skypiea, the Hidden Leaf Village, or West City, and many of the stages have their own unique mechanics or hazards. There's item pickups like Goku's staff or Zabuza's sword, which are pretty cool, but they did take after DreamMix and made it so you only have access to 1 attack with these weapons, so you're better off not even picking them up. Battle Stadium uses a combined health system that works kinda similar to DreamMix's system, but instead of knocking someone's soul out and consuming it, you simply just gotta take everyone else's health and become the biggest bird in the room. Getting your portion of the bar to fill gives you burst mode, which allows these same transformations, and any chargeable attack now instantly charges. But you can also get reverse attacked if you get counter hit, and having that happen will sell the entire round for you, so don't let it. Now, the single player campaign is the only way to unlock new characters. It's a 5-round gauntlet that has random missions you need to complete to collect coins. Not gonna lie, I have no clue what this even says. Oh, I did it. And at the end of the gauntlet, you use all those coins in the goddamn slot machine. Yep, suddenly this game turned into a gacha. Winning the first time won't even give you a character. You gotta win, then win again for a chance to get a stage or a character. Pretty horrible. And let's not even talk about the amount of times the cell boss beat my ass before I can even get to this. Once again, this is a game that was pretty obviously trying to hop on the Smash Bros train. It was exclusive in Japan as well, but looking around I can see this game was remembered more fondly than DreamMix was. I doubt this game could ever get a revamp, but hey, it's better than Jump Force. Third on the list is Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, a game I'm pretty surprised that I never knew existed. Punch Time Explosion dropped on 3DS in June 2011, developed by Papaya Studio and published by Crave Entertainment, with a console port dropping only 5 months after with an XL slot beside it. This game was basically Multiversus before it was cool, and with Cartoon Network, they have a huge roster to choose from. And don't get me wrong, the roster is pretty solid. We got Ben 10, Number 1, Samurai Jack, the Powerpuff Girls, but where's the Teen Titans? Or Ed, or Eddie? But still, not a bad cast. XL brought even more characters like Kevin 11, Scotsman and the Coup, the goddamn Toilet Nader. Gameplay wise, the mechanics play almost identically to Smash Bros. Brawl, with directional attacks and specials, blocks, and the shitty grab. Punch Time Explosions are very important, cause they're in the name of the game. By beating people up you get cubes, you know how it goes, and it lets you do the big attack. For some reason in the 3DS version you weren't able to control yourself during the attack, but in XL you can. The powers make you practically invincible for a good while also ripping apart all your opponents. The XL version brought assist moves where they made the hilarious decision to link characters with absolutely no relation together, like Ben 10 and Fredburger, or Grim and friggin' Mung Dal. But you know, I love the creative approach they took to these assists. So the XL version is supposed to be a sequel to the OG, fixing many of the 3DS version's shortcomings such as the shitty controls, adding genuine functionality to the supers instead of them all being just unskippable cutscene. I don't even know what the 3DS did to deserve being stuck with a half-assed version, but they did lock in for the console release, I'll give them that. But there's only one thing still missing that permanently holds the game back. No online multiplayer. What? That's right. You what? This game is only single player or local 4-player co-op. Not bad for playing with friends, but this game could never possibly have any viability in a competitive scene. Don't get me wrong, XL is probably never standing up to Smash anyway, but they never even gave it a chance. That being said, the single player campaigns are actually great with a pretty goofy plot, just being Space Ghost having his TV time interrupted on his day off.
Hey, I was watching that. Who flipped the channel?
Not gonna lie, reasonable crash out. While Vilgax of all people runs around corrupting characters like that one video on Adult Swim. Gameplay wise, it's just Brawl's Subspace Emissary, but following the stories of the various characters from the shows. There's honestly a lot of cool moments and mechanics in these campaigns. Samurai Jack stuck out the most to me in that aspect. And there's lots of cool bosses to fight. Honestly, the campaign almost makes up for the fact there's no online. Yeah, no it doesn't, but it's still fun to play. Now this game has one of the dumbest unlock methods I've seen ever. characters are unlocked through the campaign and multiplayer separately. You need to complete campaigns to unlock them in single player and win a shit ton of matches to unlock that same character for multiplayer. Who thought of this? Thank God for old game cheat codes, we really gotta bring this stuff back. Otherwise, this is a pretty solid game. I want to say Punch Time Explosion walk so Multiversus could run, but it's more like it crawled so Multiversus could walk, trip, get back up, and fall on its ass again. Now here's a game a lot of people know about. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, dropped in November 2012 by Superbot Entertainment and published by Sony for the PS3 and Vita. The history for this game is very interesting. Originally, the plan was to have Naughty Dog develop the game, but they were busy with The Last of Us. So Sony then decided to create an internal team that would eventually become Superbot. In 2011, prototypes of this game were popping up under the name Title Fight, which is the most place-over name I've ever seen. Now this is a game backed by Sony's IP, and while they might not have the same nostalgia factor or popularity of other IPs on this list, that doesn't mean they didn't completely fumble this cast. Maybe a little harsh, I mean they do got Kratos, Sackboy, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, even Parappa and Sweet Tooth because why not? But where's Crash? Spyro? Lara Croft? Classic. Apparently the case was Activision was asking for a ton of money that Sony wasn't willing to pay, and Crystal Dynamics was in the middle of rebooting the series and wanted her newer, higher poly version to be included. Sony said low poly or nothing. Crystal Dynamics said nothing. Honestly, it was a pretty screwed up situation for Superbot. Of course it wasn't their decision to leave out these guys, but Sony really wasn't backing them here. Speaking of textures, that brings us into another reason why this game couldn't stick for a lot of people, including myself when I tried it. Its art style is not good. And I don't mean not good like it's ugly, more like it has zero coherency. When you look at other games that bring in characters from different IPs with vastly different art styles, for example Smash and Multiversus, they make a great effort making it look plausible that these guys can exist in the same game. Maybe one would try to keep the designs faithful while still fitting the new art style, maybe the other would give them a whole new art style, and both these approaches work to varying degrees. PS All-Stars said fuck it, we're ripping them straight from the game, and it looks like a mess. Seeing a goofy ass fool like Parappa stand beside Nathan Drake or the fucking God of War well, it looks bad, man. Someone called it a 3D Mugen, and you know what? Sounds about right. But honestly, the core gameplay of All-Stars is what killed it from the start. It doesn't feel as bad to play as the other games on this list, but it has easily the worst mechanic out of every clone talked about in this video. And I can't tell you who genuinely thought this was a good idea. Listen, you know the drill. Hit people, fill up your bar, do supers. The thing about these supers is that they are the only way to KO opponents. No matter how much you box someone, clap their cheeks, even if you 3-man jump one person, if you don't hit them with a super, they ain't dying. Even on paper, I don't know who thought this sounded good. Imagine busting someone's kneecaps for 3 minutes straight, finally getting your super, and then completely whiffing it. Back to square one, buddy. You could just spam level 1 or 2 supers for some easy kills, or you could hold out for your level 3, which turns you into a freaking god. Doesn't help that games can become super drawn out when everyone is saving for their level 3 supers. But you know what? In a way, it does even the field a little. Even bottom of the barrel trash is able to one-shot a top tier. But still, doesn't matter if the top tier supers are unsurprisingly really good. In general, attacks just lose a lot of weight and are basically just fodder to build up your super, which kinda sucks since a lot of these kits are pretty cool. At the very least, you can use normals and specials to confirm into your supers, but otherwise it's a pretty lame system. In the end, PlayStation All-Stars got dropped as soon as it got dropped. And yeah, dropping only 4 new characters and a few costumes for a live service game is an easy death sentence. But honestly, I'd love to see some of the newer characters that can make it into a sequel like Aloy or Astrobot. But there's no sequel, let's be real. The single player follows the various stories of the characters coming to beat each other up, and otherwise it's just a typical gauntlet then boss fight. But I will say I love these rival fights, man, like they make no sense and it's great. But otherwise it's a cool premise but mid-execution. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was dropped in 2021 by Ludosity and published by Game Mill Entertainment, and was probably the most hyped game on this list. I mean, we had people calling it the Smash Killer. And if it gets to the point that a game is directly being called the killer of an already popular one, that game is absolutely cooked, and look no further than All-Star Brawl. God damn. This game flunked so hard they made a 2023 sequel that didn't do much better. So what went wrong? Well, just like every other game so far, this game was half-baked as shit. It's like they studied exactly how the other games flopped so they could do it themselves. Voice acting, none. Content, jack shit. Hugh Neutron, missing. Oh, no, they actually added him before Jimmy. That's funny as shit. But the bottom line is they basically made all the screw-ups games as old as these two did, which is crazy. The gameplay itself honestly isn't even that bad from a technical standpoint. Pretty janky and stiff, not gonna lie, but it's literally just Smash Bros but Nick flavored this time. I think where gameplay lacks the most is from a design standpoint. The art style isn't my favorite, but at least it's consistent this time. But again, no voice lines from these guys, not even grunts or anything, makes fights feel super flat, since the sound effects don't make up for it. Interestingly enough, Nick All-Stars had a pretty strong competitive presence for a few weeks, and I specifically remember everyone was glazing the fact it had rollback netcode and wave dashing, but otherwise tell me why you would ever play this over Smash. And since Nick All-Stars was so focused on their competitive viability, they kinda just left casual players in the dust, since there's literally nothing to do otherwise. No casual modes except for a sports mode based on a mode from Ludosity's other game Slap City. Their single player campaign didn't even have a final boss at the end. The most you could do is pick the next guy you would fight like his third strike. And in Third Strike you get to fight Gil, so you know what I mean, it's pretty trash. Hype died for this game so hard and so fast it's not even funny. Not to mention in mid 2022 Multiversus kinda just dunked on this game, but that's okay, they got it coming too. Anyway, the first game stopped development around November 2022, and a year later they dropped Nickelodeon All-Stars 2. Nick All-Stars 2 made many improvements to the game with a fully voiced cast, a nicer art style with cleaner animation, better UI, and overall more content to the game. Gameplay is even better with more fluidity in attacks and combos, and the slime meter which gives you lots more options, like EX sliming your attacks, slime bursting all over the place to save yourself while blasting enemies away, slime canceling which lets you insta cancel into other moves for less damage, slime dashes, and your ultimate slime attack where you once again slime all over the place, and of course the slime taunt where you slime once again all over the place for maximum disrespect. The roster actually got completely revamped instead of just being added upon. There's 14 returning characters and 11 newcomers, which means many OG characters got cut like Helga, Leo and Mikey, and Hugh no Michael. Wait, holy shit, they got rid of Toph too. That's actually kinda ridiculous, not gonna lie. The single player campaign got a huge overhaul, actually becoming a campaign. It now has an actual story saving the entire crossover universe from the big bad as usual, this time being Vlad Plasmius. And gameplay wise, it's a roguelike adventure, following a map where you fight various fighters and other opponents while getting power ups through shops dotted across the map. There's 3 zones with a boss at the end of each, becoming increasingly more difficult each zone. And of course we got some endgame bosses as well. Yeah, absolutely massive improvement over the first game, but let's be real, anything is an improvement over the first game. So yeah, Nick All-Star Brawl 2 is genuinely a good game, but unfortunately the damage from the first was already done. The first game honestly should have never existed. It was pretty much a product of smaller studios being pressured by Big Nick to get a game out to hop on the trend, I guess. And when Ludosity finally gets a chance to get their foot in the door, their audience is taking their feet out. This game hasn't received any new content since 2024, but at the very least the servers are still being supported for the 3 people playing. Same can't be said for the next game on the list. This is the next game on the list. Multiversus, developed by Player First Games and published by Warner Bros. Games, and it is literally dead as of a few months ago, servers no worky. Now similarly to Nick All-Stars Brawl, Multiversus had 2 separate iterations, the first being the open beta launch released in July 2022 ending June 2023, with the full release in May 2024 ending May 2025. I use these terms loosely though because it's clear the open beta was just a result of the usual screw-ups from the devs and publisher, and the full release wasn't the most complete. Multiversus really had it going for them in the start, and the Warner Bros. IP gave them lots of creativity for their cast. We got Tom and Jerry, Bugs, Garnet, Jake, Superman, Batman, and Shaggy. Also LeBron James. Gameplay in the open beta was super fast paced and left lots of room for skill expression with air combos, multi-directional dodging, and also fastball tech. And unlike most platform fighters, Multiversus was centered around 2v2s over 1v1s. There were even cool interactions between characters like Bugs' tunnels being used by teammates, Shaggy giving his partner Ultra Instinct, Raindog literally being created for 2v2s with buffs and even a tether he can use to pull allies with. Who is this guy, by the way? The nice part is every character, even the dog, can hold their own perfectly fine in 1v1s, which is mainly what I played. Characters were even assigned classes like Bruiser, Assassin, Mage, Support, and Tank. These classes weren't worth a damn though. Morty was classified as a bruiser throughout the entire beta, but the guy probably throws as much shit around as his Gramps, who's already a mage. But at the same time, Bugs is a mage that throws shit around but has no problem busting your shit if you get too close anyhow. Honestly, these tags should have just been scrapped in the full release to prevent characters from feeling like they have to fit the archetype or they're busted, but they still kept them, so. The perk system brought even more upgrades and team synergies. In the open beta, general perks have 3 types: offense, defense, and utility, which can be unlocked by specific characters by leveling them up. They also get a few signature perks that can only be used by that specific character. You can even stack general perks with your teammate to make them even stronger. So yeah, gameplay is incredibly fleshed out for Multiversus, and it actually got me to watch competitive matches. Seeing the team play was honestly incredibly enjoyable. I can only imagine it wouldn't look nearly as great with 2 randoms, but still. Problem is, Player First pulled a Nick All-Star Brawl and forgot to update their game a few months after release. They did start strong though with 5 new characters in the span of the first season, but then after dropping Marvin in season 2, he was the only guy. Free game means paid bullshit, and listen, I understand Player First needs to get paid first, but the grind to get characters that you otherwise gotta drop $7 for is no joke, man. Getting skins takes premium currency that wasn't even obtainable in the battle pass, and man, I am so sick of games that give you an uneven amount of currency in their cheapest bundle to try and get you to drop more cash. One of the more messed up changes made later on though was doubling the amount of XP you needed to level a character to max, which means newer players will have a harder time unlocking perks for their characters, which is a huge problem for creating builds. All this coupled with the honestly pretty horrible connection, generous hitboxes, is pretty clear why the open beta failed. And once again, the lack of any single player content, come on man. Multiversus lost all its momentum in only a few months, so it was back to the drawing board. As much as I'd love to say that this full launch fixed many issues and turned Multiversus into the game it should have been, no, somehow they made it even worse. With the transition to Unreal Engine 5, they revamped the entire UI, which honestly is not an improvement at all. It looks way busier while somehow losing the style of the OG. Now it looks more like a straight out of a mobile game. The full release straight up had missing content that was promised when they first shut down the game. Ranked mode, all characters unlocked in trading. Come on, I know it's not completely the dev's fault, but what is the point of a re-release with less content but more bugs and generous hitboxes? Gameplay wise, it's way slower, and the new camera provides a very intimate experience while you get your shit kicked in, which understandably was a very jarring change for many people. But while I can't say I don't miss the super fast paced gameplay of the beta, maybe it was a little too fast. The fact that before everyone zipped around like they were on crack meant everyone was just spamming moves praying they could even get a hit in, and good luck playing Iron Giant in that meta. Yep, he's eating good with these changes. Not saying you can't spam now, but attacks are a lot more deliberate since you can actually get punished. This time it looks like it's a different extreme, to the point where gameplay sometimes feels too floaty and slow. Once again, free games come with free game bullshit, and it seems like they really wanted to double down on said bullshit in the full release. At launch, you only started with 4 guys, and to get more, you of course needed the free currency, and to get the free currency, you gotta get to work, boy. Speaking of currencies, we got 3 more. Great. Perk currency for unlocking perks, Gleamium as the premium currency, and Prestige as a little bonus for buying things with money. And has a whole store locked behind it, which is an insanely nasty practice, no doubt. Later on, they did retire fighter currency for the fighter road, which is basically just the Brawl Stars progression track. We are really borrowing from a mobile game, no offense, it's a good game. And of course you can drop real money to speedrun through the entire track, which not even Brawl Stars lets you do. Since the road is just a linear progression track, you don't have much choice in what character you unlock. Rifts are the single player campaign added in the full release, and at least in the first season it was actually a pretty cool addition. Rifts consist of a map full of nodes, each with different objectives as simple as winning the match or other interesting minigames. And at the end of the rift you get to fight the big bad boss as well. Zero voice acting though, and these text boxes looked lazy as hell. Similarly to Nick All-Stars Brawl, you can get power-ups, this time through gems. In true Multiversus fashion, the way to get these gems is through a shit ton of grinding. Or you can buy them. Yeah, nah, the grind to crushing difficulty is crushing enough. In the later seasons, rifts were replaced with rogue rifts, which is exactly just Nick All-Stars Brawl's campaign without any story, where you can choose power-ups and the only objective is to not die, so pretty damn boring in comparison. Now, Multiversus is quite literally just a husk, with only offline and rifts being available. And it's kinda sad to see a game with such potential get thrown out because Warner Bros didn't see it as profitable enough. It honestly just feels like this genre of platform fighters are cursed, since the same mistakes just keep being made over and over. Clearly, having big IPs don't mean anything if you can't make a game worth playing. Revolutionary statement, I know, but someone has to tell the higher ups of these companies. Who knows if we'll ever see another big IP try to make a game like this? Seems like they're more focused on assist fighters right now, but it might be cool to see a Marvel or Disney fighting game someday. Thanks for watching. Like, sub, hit that bell, all that, and we'll catch you later.